Hey YouTube, it's EvanMagician34. This is your Choose the Deck number 2 winner. I'll go ahead and tell you that it was a super close vote, but always leading just a little bit was Power Tool Dragon, as you may have guessed from my mat. I'll go ahead and tell you Blackwing Dragon is not overly complicated to build around if you must build around him. You can just use Black Snake Syndrome or Dark Snake Syndrome and combo him off of that so that he's always like the biggest monster on the field and you slowly damage your opponent to death. It's a really slow control-based burn deck essentially. Um, but anyway. Um, and yes, I went with Morphtronics because they just support him so well. But I didn't go straight Morphtronics. So if you're gonna groan and roll your eyes, don't do it yet because this is an interesting build. It's a very straightforward, aggressive build, and this ought to tell you we're going a different route from usual. We're running 3 copies of Maha Vailo. This guy is pretty darn old school. If you played back when this guy was new, you probably still have a little tingling of fear, because this guy was like the uber beat stick of the era when he first came out. A lot of fun. And we're going to go ahead and put him to use in here too. We're also running 3 copies of Morphtronic Videon. He's the one who likes to be equipped. And another guy we'd really like to put big equips on is Morphtronic Boomboxen, the guy who attacks twice. He's not bad in defense mode either. Our tuner of choice to make Power Tool Dragon is, of course, Scopin. We're running 3 copies of Scopin. He can even change his level if he's in defense mode. He's level 4. All good there. And to help accelerate us along and put some monsters on the field, we're running 3 copies of Morphtronic Selphon. He can also do some cool tricks like set you up for a 5-star synchro with Scopin if you find Scopin with his effect. We're running 1 copy of Sangan, of course, to help find that stuff and set us up. 1 copy of Gale, another good 3-star tuner who likes combat. The 3-star tuner you might not see coming, and we're partially running him because he's dark, and if you haven't figured that out, you'll see in a second. We're actually running 1 copy of Dark Resonator. He's a good early set and whatnot, and he can endure, he helps set up more monsters, and basically you got lots of 4 stars, you can just summon him and sync, which is what you'll do most of the time. We're running 1 copy of Gore's Emissary Darkness, helps crowd your field, make big monsters, aggressive pushes, that's what he does. We have a lot of light monsters, so we're definitely running Honest. It's a pity Boomboxen's not light, but nobody's perfect. But he also goes well with the reason we're running Dark Resonator. Meanwhile, we're also running 2 copies of Effect Veiler, another good light monster, and just a really good way to keep yourself from getting screwed up by your opponent's effects. And if you somehow hadn't guessed it, we're running Blacklister Soldier, Envoy of the Beginning. He and Honest are super tight, and we run enough lights and darks and ways to get him to the grave and whatnot that this guy is definitely a good surprise, and who wouldn't want to equip this guy with, say, United We Stand? I know I would. So anyway, Monster Reborn, Dark Hole, pretty standard those two. We're running 2 copies of Gold Sarcophagus. Duality can be a little unpredictable and can kind of slow you down in this deck, which is something you probably don't want. Gold Sarc is a great first turn card that can help set you up, can go search BLS or Heavy Storm or whatever. Just kind of depends on what your hand is. So that's the choice for this deck. 1 copy of Heavy Storm, of course. And we're running 3 copies of Mystical Space Typhoon. It was tempting to run Dark Bribe, but Mystical Space Typhoon basically does everything I wanted Bribe to do in the deck, and it doesn't give my opponent a card. So, and you can even set it to help power up one of the other cards we're running, Mage Power. So, onto our equips, because we're obviously running Power Tool Dragon. We're running 3 copies of United We Stand, one of the best pump your attack based equip spells ever. It's at least 800 and is often 1600 or even 2400 point bonus. Just amazing. This is especially good on BLS and Boomboxen. We're also running 3 copies of Mage Power. It was kind of a tough call for what the second equip spell would be, and I went between Phalanx Pike, Lucky Iron Axe, even Axe of Despair. But Mage Power is just straight pump, ended up winning out in the end, and most of your guys you want to equip will profit from it, and you'll almost always have at least one other card down, so it's 1,000 base. It turned out to be the way to go. We're also running 3 copies of Compulsory Evacuation Device. It's a good, quick catch-all that will get things out of your way and help you kill your opponent quickly, which is how you're going to win in this deck. Alright, the extra deck is really kind of cool. It runs 1 copy of Trishula, 1 copy of Stardust Dragon, 1 copy of Scrap Dragon, 1 copy of Colossal Fighter. Syncing is interesting in this deck, to say the least. We're also running Avenging Knight Parshath. You can make him. He's not really that hard. He needs light materials, so this is like Maha Vailo plus Scopin. Like a level 4 Scopin by a Monster Reborn or something like that. And because this guy has the piercing ability, and he can change positions on monsters. He's great with equip spells. And yes, we're running 1 copy of Lifestream Dragon, because if we're going to focus the deck on Power Tool, we might as well. And Effect Veiler makes this guy really easily. And he can be hard to kill, and he's big. I mean, that pretty much says it all. And yes, we're running 3 copies of Power Tool Dragon. Ooh, Ghost Rares. Shiny. We're also running 1 copy of Black Rose Dragon. 1 copy of Ancient Sacred Wyvern, in case you hadn't noticed. We sink for 7 a lot in this deck. That's pretty much what it's built for. We're even running 1 copy of Seven Swords Warrior, because his ability to pop stuff and attack and whatnot is actually really cool. 1 copy of Brinac, Dragon of the Ice Barrier. 1 copy of Magical Android, because it helps us get a light monster into the grave. And sinking for 5 is pretty easy. Once again, that's the trick where you go Self on, find your scope in Special and Defense mode. And the other 5-star option you've got is Ally of Justice Cataster. We're not really Xyzing very much in this build, so... Anyway, there you go. That is your Build a Deck number 2 winner, Power Tool Dragon. And until next time, rate, comment, subscribe, and check out my channel for more cool videos.